brave men and women who have served our country faithfully often need our help to successfully transition back into civilian life. Brave Radio is here to highlight veterans and the companies who are making a difference in our veteran community. And now, the host of Brave Radio, Eve Nasby.
Welcome to Brave Radio in conjunction with Military Mondays, where we're focused on engaging our veterans and making a difference in our business community. I'm your host, Eve Nasby, here to highlight the best and brightest that San Diego and this nation have to offer. We have an amazing show planned today, so let's get started. First with us is Carol. And Carol, you are with Paws'itive Teams. And I have to tell our audience, we've got a couple of your dogs here this morning, and I'm so excited, but they're not going to talk, are they?
No, sorry. We told them they can't be on air.
They can't be on air. But we got pictures, so our audience can go on our Facebook page and our LinkedIn page and see the pictures of your gorgeous animals. But without further ado, tell us all about your organization.
Great. It's an honor to be here. We're Paws'itive Teams, spelled Pawsitive, Paws'itive Teams, and we use canines to help improve the lives of San Diegans. And we are really very dedicated to our military community because we feel that we owe so much to those who've given so much to us, and we can do it with canines in a variety of ways. So we're really excited about the different programs we offer. And one of them is our emotional support dog program. And we, during the last couple of years, we've been able to recruit a Navy veteran corpsman, Elaine Snavely, to be our veteran services coordinator. And Elaine has been a tremendous resource in helping us network with other organizations and those that serve veterans in our community. And she has been spearheading our emotional support dog program.
And, you know, I just think, I mean, I'm excited. And we've got other people in the studio who saw your dogs and they were like, "Aw." And they're kind of like, they're that natural stress reliever. You know, from an emotional standpoint, you're just like, okay, there's a dog here. And I know that they use them on campuses for like when there's finals week to kind of reduce the stress. And you guys gave me a newsletter that actually you've got dogs that go into court to help kids de-stress when they have to go on the stand and testify. So there's so many wonderful benefits of having dogs and therapy dogs and service dogs. So I want to jump right into what you guys are doing with folks with PTSD, veterans. And so Elaine Snavely, thank you for being a part of our show.
Thank you for having me.
So I want our listeners, we talked a little bit before we got the show started about your story, which I was glad I was sitting down. So would you mind sharing that incredible journey that you've been on for a while?
It has been an interesting ride. In 2007, I was a part of a Humvee convoy for external security patrol in Iraq, and my Humvee flipped. There were 4 of us that were in the vehicle. There were 3 of us that survived.
Oh, wow.
I don't remember the accident, and I'm not complaining about that for 1 second.
Right.
I woke up in Germany 2 days after the accident and found out that I had had a quote-unquote small accident.
Oh, is that what they call it?
That's what the nurse called it. She said I had a small accident in my Humvee. Then the parade of doctors came in to show me x-rays of a shattered left upper arm. I fractured a vertebrae in my back. I fractured my pelvis in 2 places. But the big trick was the fact that I also broke my neck.
Oh, my goodness.
I had the same fracture that Christopher Reeve did.
Okay, for our audience to know, you walked in here today.
With all my original limbs.
With all your original limbs, and you're
Yes.
smiling, your head is bobbing back and forth, and you're breathing on your own.
Yes.
Okay, so what happened next?
I was told that they were going to repair my neck, and they did. So I've got a bracket and 4 screws in my neck.
Wow.
I have a rod and 8 screws in my arm. I spent a week in Germany before they flew me back here. Spent a couple of days here, and then started a whole lot of rehabilitation. I spent a year in occupational therapy, 6 months in speech therapy, 6 months in vestibular therapy for balance, and 3 years in physical therapy.
Oh, my goodness. And you look amazing, but obviously there's invisible wounds of war. So you've gotten past the physical. And now...
I have my scars, but my scars are my racing stripes because I can still walk very, very fast.
I love it.
But it allows me to be able to remember where I came from, but still be able to identify how far I've come.
Yeah.
What I learned when I got injured was the fact that you're going to have good days and you're going to have bad days. You're on the road to recovery when your good days outnumber your bad. But when your bad days do show up and they're fewer and far between, then it gives you a landmark of how far you've come.
Yeah. So you're looking at, what were your thoughts? You're laying in bed, you're at Corman, so you know what you're looking at. You've got these.
You're going to need to bleep some of the words that are coming out of my mouth. And that's the God's honest truth. They showed me the x-ray and I know my eyes got that big, and I know I'm going to use the military acronym of Whiskey Tango Foxtrot.
Wow.
And you're going to be able to use your imagination on that one.
So you knew it was going to be a long recovery.
Yes.
And a miraculous one at that.
My good days have outnumbered my bad, and I've had wonderful people along the way. Carol and Paws'itive Teams have become family. I met them about a year after I was injured and knew at that point that I wanted to do something with the service dogs, just because I had been on the receiving end of therapy dog visits while I was in the hospital, and service dog worked in my rehabilitation.
Right.
But I didn't know how to execute that. I knew what I wanted, but I had no clue how to navigate that.
You're listening to Brave Radio in partnership with Military Mondays, where we focus on matching veteran talent with innovative companies that make a difference in our community and in our nation. We are here with Paws'itive Teams, Elaine Snavely, military person extraordinaire, been through so much, and now you are on the other side of recovery, and you're helping other people with PTSD, traumatic brain injury, through Paws'itive Teams. So talk about the program that you're spearheading through Paws'itive Teams.
We are spearheading a program called the Emotional Support Dog Program. And basically what we're doing is we're offering obedience dog classes for those that are military with post-traumatic stress and traumatic brain injury who own dogs of their own. But because of their injuries and because of their post-traumatic stress, they don't have a safe place to learn how to be a better dog handler. When you say safe,
it's not because going to Petco for dog training is a dangerous place. It's
it's a stressful place.
Because there's a lot of people there.
Because we are hyper aware, and there are a lot of potentials for people to come up into our bubble, our safe bubble, and not understand that we're already stressed out just by being someplace that we are not comfortable with.
Right.
I don't mean that in any way other than the fact that we just don't feel comfortable.
Right. And so you have these pets, people just have their normal dogs. Like I've got Happy, a golden retriever. He's not that smart, but you can help
But he's happy.
But he's very happy all the time. He runs into things, but he's happy. Right. So you would, if I had PTSD, TBI, you would help me understand how to be a better pet owner.
We have our emotional support dog program is broken down into two phases. Okay. Phase one, you do not need to have a dog. You are assigned during the course of our time period while we're in class, a therapy dog through Paws'itive Teams and the dog's owner. We teach you canine communication, grooming, emergency first aid, all of those types of things that allow you to be able to be a better dog handler. If you do not have a dog, we then coordinate with several organizations, including Rancho Coastal Humane Society and the Helen Woodward Rescue Society. So that way, if the veteran is looking to get a dog, we can let that rescue society know ahead in time what this person is looking for, so that way they don't fall in love with the first dog.
Yeah.
They find a dog that's actually going to help them and be a teammate.
Right.
During phase two, they put into practice what they learned in phase one.
You know what I love is what we were talking about before we jumped on air, and that is this program that you have that pairs the veteran with the dog and the dog's owner to test drive to see if this veteran is an appropriate candidate for an animal. And one of the things you talked about was that they go to Balboa Park and then they have to talk to other people who are safe because they come from Paws'itive training. But also you go to the Apple Store. Talk about that some more as well.
Well, you're not talking about the emotional support dog program anymore. You're talking about the Canine-Inspired Community Reintegration.
Oops, we've got two. Sorry. You've got so much going on. Okay, so educate us on that one.
Okay, the CICR program, CICR, Canine-Inspired Community Reintegration, was a program that Carol started about 4.5 years ago. And we work with one of the Balboa rehabilitation areas called the We Wellness Clinic. They solicit and they select the active duty that are going to be attending the class. Carol and I, mostly Carol, she's the heavy lifter on that program. I have the ESD, she has the secret. Carol coordinates the dog teams, the therapy dog teams, to get partnered with these active duty, what we call cohorts. during the 6 weeks, we go to various areas. One of them is Balboa Park, and it's a scavenger hunt. And one of them is to go to the Apple store at Fashion Valley, which if you don't have PTSD, it's a stressful thing. Let's just lay that out there right now. If you have hypervigilance and post-traumatic stress symptoms, it's even more stressful than it is for the general public. And the cohorts are assigned to the dogs depending on how well they feel. Sometimes the dog owners will give them a little bit of breathing space so that way they don't feel quite so smothered. And it allows the dog to be the four-legged wingman, so that way the active duty can be in public and not feel like every single person is a potential hazard, a potential threat. Right. It allows them to be able to be in public and be relaxed at the same time.
You know, I love the story, too, because you're talking about the Apple store, for example. You've got the dog facing one way, looking at the door, and then you're teaching the veteran or the military person how to look at that dog and read the dog. Right. To feel a little bit safer. It's almost like the dog is the eyes in the back of your head. It is. And actually, my service dog right now is actually laying down, and she's facing towards my back. But I can tell by her body positions and the lack of tension on the leash, which is in physical contact with me right now, that she does not see anything to be concerned about. So that in itself allows me to be able to focus on you in this conversation rather than worried about if somebody in the control room is making funny faces behind me that I don't see. Right. Which I'm really hoping doesn't happen, but you never know. No, there ain't nobody back there. Oh, good. You're good.
Hey, can I step in just a minute? Yes, ma'am. This is very common in this day and age. You hear the word emotional support dog all the time. Yeah. And what does it really mean? And I think the public needs to be educated. An emotional support dog is essentially a pet dog that makes you feel better. There is no special training. There is no special certification. Got it. They do not have public access rights. Okay. A service dog through the Americans with Disability Act is a dog that has been specifically trained a minimum of one behavior that directly mitigates the disability. You see so many fake service dogs out there in stores now, and they claim to be service dogs. Oh, I know. And they get their little thing on eBay, right? Exactly. And there's a real big difference because they have to be trained behaviors. Right. And that's a big difference. And that's why we have our emotional support dog program for those who really don't want to go through that hassle but can benefit from the dog, and they can do it in environments that pet dogs are allowed. People just need to know the difference of what really an emotional support dog is. Thank you for clarifying that. And thank you for starting Paws'itive Teams. I am so excited. I definitely want to have you guys back. We are running out of time on this segment, but I want our audience to know that you are a completely volunteer team, that if there's opportunities out there for them to donate to what you're doing, you are obviously a welcome recipient of those donations and also additional volunteers. So tell our audience how they can get a hold of you. Yes, thank you. Go to our website. It's Paws Teams. That's Paws. T as in Tom, EAMS, pawsteams.org. And we're an all-volunteer staff with one part-time paid position, our executive director. So we do everything with our volunteers. So we'd love to have you check out our website. I just want to let you know that your service dog just jumped into your lap and is talking on the mic. All right. Well, you guys, thanks again. I love this. We want to have you guys back. Thank you again for all you're doing. You're listening to Brave Radio in partnership with Military Mondays, where we focus on matching veteran talent with innovative companies that make a difference in our community and in our nation. Follow us on Twitter at Brave Jobs or give us a call at 619-244-3000. I'm your host, Eve Nasby, and we will be right back after this short break to talk about my absolute most favorite thing to do in San Diego anytime, and that is Fleet Week with Brian Sack. Don't go away.
You've collected dozens of college credits, countless hours of study time. You've worked really hard to get where you are. At Point Loma Nazarene University, your collections matter. We want to partner with you to turn your hard-earned college credits into a bachelor's degree in as few as 15 months. With class just one night a week, you've earned it. Learn about degrees in fields like computer information technology, criminal justice, management, nursing, child and adolescent development, and education at pointloma.edu/complete.
Hey, boss.
Yeah?
I need to hire someone. Our workload's increased and, man, I could use some help.
What are you looking for?
I need someone unlike Ben, who doesn't freak out, when the copier breaks and the phones are down and the receptionist calls in sick.
What do you need?
Leadership. I need a leader who can just get it done with little direction and ahead of time would be great. With the prima donnas floating around our department like Sally and Jason, it's a challenge, man, to get things done. I need a team player, trained in leadership, confident in their abilities, and adaptable to change.
You know, there's only one place you're going to find talent like that.
Show me where.
Our United States veterans. Call Eve right now at 619-244-3000 or log on to thebrave.us and let's hire a veteran. It's good for business. It's good for America.
Brave is a part of America's largest service-disabled veteran-owned business, Merit Consulting. We are dedicated to placing great companies with great veterans. Call today.
Welcome back. You're listening to Brave Radio in partnership with Military Mondays, where we focus on matching veteran talent with innovative companies that make a difference in our community and in our nation. As promised, we are back in studio with the one and only Brian Sack from Fleet Week. Welcome back, Brian.
Well, thank you for having me again.
You have charge of one of the most amazing events that San Diego has to offer, and that's Fleet Week. And it's not really Fleet Week. It's more like Fleet Month.
More like Fleet Month.
That's Elizabeth. So, guys, tell us about Fleet Month.
Well, we do have something I don't want to say new. Last time we did the Sea and Air Parade was back in 2008. So Admiral Tyson has made the decision to give us ships and equipment. So
Thank you, Admiral Tyson.
Absolutely. So she came on board here and went to all the different Fleet Weeks and came back to San Diego and said, we need to do something special for San Diego. So that's what we're doing, and that's one of the reasons why we're here to talk to you today.
So talk about Fleet Week month. It is the air show, and it's talk about this. We need the details because I know our listeners
So we
want to know.
start out September 2nd, and we go all the way through October 1st. We have, I think, 15 different events when you add them all up.
Wow.
And they're all for the military. Most of them are open to the public as well. There's a few private military events, but most of them are open to the public. We try to make them as free as possible, especially if you're active duty. If you're active duty, you're going for free.
That's great. And I know for the things that are going on downtown, you guys talked about Uber offering free rides to the military back and forth. So
yes, absolutely. So we're working on that right now, going through that to have a bunch of differing events that are for the military that we have partnered up with them, and we're going through the contracts and be able to push that out. So definitely follow us on our Facebook page.
Yes. Okay, so now what's the first event that we're kicking off Fleet Week with?
Well, officially the first event on the 2nd is a concert down at the House of Blues. It's called the Overboard Concert, featuring the #1 Van Halen tribute band, Van Halen.
Ooh, all right.
But I think what we really want the public to know about is that Sea and Air Parade, because it's coming back. It's open to the public. It's going to be all along the waterfront with ships and flyovers and ship tours. And
Okay, what kind of ships and what kind of planes?
I'll let Brian talk to that a little bit more. He knows that.
We've got 12 or 13. Like I said, we haven't solidified that. That will change. So we're just kind of giving classes, not the names. But there are going to be some nice ships. We will not have a carrier, but we will have we'll have destroyers, and we'll have some LCACs, and we'll have an F-35. So we're excited about that. So.
Are we giving out free rides in that thing? Yeah, sure. You got connections. Well, Brian, you know people. Come on.
I do, and I'm the first one when they make a 2-seater. So that is not going to happen, though, is what I'm told.
Strap me to the wing.
So, yes, they only have a single seater on those. But yeah, so we are excited to have the F-35, and that doesn't come out too often. No. And I've been fielding some calls from over in Europe that they want to come just to see that because of its proximity to the crowd.
Wow.
And so we'll have some Harriers, we'll have some F-18s, we'll have helicopters, we'll have the Coast Guard, we'll have ships to tour on B Street Pier. We'll have 4 vessels on B Street Pier, where we're also going to be doing our STEM fair, which ONR, which is the research arm of the Navy, along with SPAWAR, that will be bringing all their toys over there, the high-tech ocular devices, which basically are the 3-dimensional virtual reality goggles that will have that, and then some that are just plain glasses that you put on that is kind of what's going on right now. If you had something, everything is barcoded, will be barcoded within the Navy, and if you needed to repair something, in your glasses, you'll be able to see what it is as far as where to turn the screw and pull it up, fix it over. So you're seeing everything in your I saw it. So it's pretty impressive. So we'll have that before the people can actually tour the ships. If they're waiting around, they can go and look at that. And like I say, we'll have the Canadian Navy over there. We will have the Coast Guard cutter, and we'll have 2 U.S. ships over there.
Oh my goodness, Brian Sack, Fleet Week. This sounds too good to be true. I mean, if you've got kids and you're listening and they say, I'm bored, they don't live in San Diego because there's so much to do. And what a great family event.
It is. And that's why I like this. That's why I like STEM. It basically, the kids love it, and it's going to bring stuff and make it that shows you that science is cool.
Yes, be very hands-on.
Yeah,
manipulating
hands-on.
robots and.
Okay, so what is the date of that?
That is September 10th.
That's the 10th.
10th and 11th. That weekend is
Okay.
the Sea and Air Parade is actually on the 10th. We have the ship tours going on till the 14th.
Okay.
But there'll be stuff to do that Saturday and Sunday with with all the STEM fair stuff going on and ship tours and all the marine static displays. We'll have that on Broadway Pier. So we've got the Midway, Broadway Pier, B Street Pier, Harbor Island, static displays going all over the place.
Jeez. You're listening to Brave Radio in partnership with Military Mondays, where we focus on matching veteran talent with innovative companies that make a difference in our community. We are in studio with the man and his lovely assistant, Elizabeth Handley from Fleet Week. So September 10th, that is a date to put on our calendars. It's free. Bring your families, bring your kids. What do you guys recommend for parking?
Well, we do have it. Last time they had it was actually on Harbor Island. That was where the Sea and Air Parade Central was. I've moved it back into more towards the downtown area in the infrastructure. So take the trolley, take the coaster, take the train, utilize the parking at the convention center.
Yeah, perfect.
Come on
the
down.
trolleys are great.
And if you live or work anywhere in the downtown area, or if you want to take the trolley in, Friday the 9th, we're doing what we're calling the launch party at the pier.
Okay.
So it's a kickoff for the whole event with live music and entertainment, food trucks, beer garden. Admission is free. Just come on out and help us kick it off and have fun.
Sweet.
So the Navy band, the Destroyers, will be playing, and a lot of the Navy folks that normally in San Diego don't really get to get off their ship and see the public, they will be doing that, and they'll be in their dress whites and coming back. And we're in talks with one of the cities here on the coast that it's going to give them a little swag bag. So we're looking forward to all that, and they're going to kind of run around downtown.
That is amazing. Okay, so then we have the air show, right?
Well,
On
the
Miramar?
next weekend is actually the Coronado Speed Festival over on
Speed
North
Fest.
Island. So that's
Okay.
when we take over Runway 2, and we build a race course with Vendor Village, car
Yes, he
show.
said build a race course.
Yeah.
There's
Yes.
not one there on the
Yeah.
runway. We build it.
It's a track in basically tarmac
right.
before we get there. And number one thing someone says when they walk through the gates is, wow, I never knew this was here. So we have been doing this is number 19 would be 20 if we didn't have 9/11, but
Right.
which also gives us a reminder of what really we're about too.
Yeah.
So
That's right. Amen. That's right. Okay, then after that,
so then that next weekend is the air show.
there's
So-
the air show. Finally.
So we do have some opportunities. We want to definitely get our events there, but we also have opportunities for everything is free, but you can do the VIP, which is a cost, and you can find all that information on our website,
Which is?
fleetweeksandiego.org.
Okay.
So we have VIP on the flight deck of the Midway. So you'll be able to see everything bird's eye view.
Nice.
And then we also have VIP for the Coronado Speed Fest as well, Saturday and Sunday, 17th and 18th. We also have tables available for corporations on our enlisted luncheon over at SeaWorld. That is phenomenal because you buy a table of 10, 4 of those are actually enlisted that sit at your table.
That's
So all of our
fantastic, you
corporate
guys.
members that purchase those tables walk away with a feeling of, I think we're okay here in the United States, because they're talking to these kids that are in New Orleans, Ohio, New York, that are all sitting at their table, and they get to have a conversation and interact, and it's good for the military members too, because they feel appreciated.
Yeah, absolutely. And then
And then is the air show.
after the air show.
After the air show, we have the Cabrillo Festival,
Okay.
which is also free and open to the public. It's out on Navy Base Point Loma. And what they do there is a reenactment of Juan Cabrillo discovering
see.
San Diego.
All
So
right.
he sails across the bay on the restored San Salvador ship
Wow.
that they have created. And he lands and, claims the land for Spain.
This is an amazing place to live. And
know.
thanks to you guys, it's a really fun place to live.
Very
so
fun.
Thank you for all that you're bringing to San Diego. Give us that website once again, Brian, before we wrap up.
Absolutely. Fleet Week, San Diego Fleet Week, or fleetweeksandiego.org.
FleetweekSanDiego.org.
Yes.
And this is Brian Sack, Elizabeth Handley. Anything else to add before we wrap up?
Well, I do want to mention that at Coronado Speed Festival, if you're a fan of Forrest Gump or Criminal Minds, our Grand Marshal is Gary Sinise,
Wow.
He is bringing out his Lieutenant Dan Band.
Yes.
To do a free concert, free with admission on Saturday at noon.
Oh, my goodness.
You don't want to miss that.
He's amazing. One of our good friends of the show, Helen Patton, General Patton's granddaughter, did a huge thing in Normandy, remembrance last year, and Gary was there. What a great
Gary
individual.
definitely gives back, so we're excited to have him aboard.
Very good.
And definitely thanks out to him and his foundation.
Excellent. Well, thanks again, you guys. Fleet Week, San Diego, don't miss it. You're listening to Brave Radio in partnership with Military Mondays, where we focus on matching veteran talent with innovative companies that make a difference in our community and in our nation. Follow us on Twitter at Brave Jobs or like us on Facebook to stay up to date with the latest news and trends. I'm your host, Eve Nasby, and we will be right back after the short break to talk to Paul Falcone, author of Boots to Loafers and 10 other books. Don't go away.
Okay, Todd, you're my director of talent acquisition. Tell me why our competitors keep winning all the contracts we go for. We have top-tier candidates, customized plans, excellent customer service, and we were voted the best place to work in San Diego.
Well, sir, I would have to say that they do have one thing we don't.
Now, what could that be, Todd?
Sally from Logistics told me they are all CMRs.
What's that?
It stands for Certified Military Recruiters, and they are recognized as a military company of choice. The certification allows them to translate military experience into civilian jobs, and if I remember correctly, for each veteran our competitors place, they get up to $9,600 in tax incentives.
Why didn't you tell me about this sooner? How do we get certified?
Just call Eve Nasby with the Brave CMR program at 619-244-3000, and she can deliver a plan that fits our needs. This will allow our recruiters to gain access to an even larger talent pool, become a trusted and knowledgeable military recruiter, and give us huge tax incentives for every veteran we place, besides the fact that hiring veterans is just the right thing to do.
Well, don't just stand there, Todd. Contact Eve now.
Welcome back. You're listening to Brave Radio in partnership with Military Mondays here on KCBQ AM 1170, streaming live on the web at am1170theanswer.com. In studio, as promised, is Paul Falcone, author of a lot of books and a VP of HR extraordinaire. Now you're breaking off into consulting, and you have so much to offer, Paul. So thank you for coming back to the show.
My pleasure.
I didn't scare you away the last time.
You know, there's a lot of pressure today, Eve, because trying to follow Service Dogs and Fleet Week, I don't know what I'm going to say that's going to make it as fun as the previous speakers,
right.
But I'm going to do my best.
Well, you know what? Just real quickly, you've written a couple of books, and one of them was Boots to Loafers, and the focus of that book was really helping folks who are transitioning out of the military into civilian work, how to do that and do it well. And I want to thank you for writing that book.
My pleasure.
Give us a 15, 30-second commercial on that book.
You know, I think the thing is, when you look at all the resources that are out there, there's a lot. Mm-hmm. And it's almost, you can get overwhelmed when you look at everything that's on the internet. And I think we wanted to put a book together that was actually easy. We can make it a kind of survival guide, but very basic and logical in terms of doing your transition from in military to the transition process to landing a new job and kind of acclimating yourself in that first year.
Yeah. And one of the things I'm sure you talk about is that negotiation of salary, which is always a fun and exciting and yet intimidating thing, because sometimes folks will jump at the first offer, and that's probably not the smartest thing you could do. So talk about the strategy behind that.
The salary piece is really confusing. And, you know, you're going to different sectors of the economy when you're going from military to private sector. And so people don't know exactly how it works. And it's not an apple-to-apple comparison. Mm-hmm. And I think that's where people get mixed up sometimes. Mm-hmm. To make matters worse, sometimes what they'll do is they'll go on the internet to all the various websites and figure out, well, a job like this should be paying X. And they don't realize that it's like, well, that's true to a degree, but that information is kind of in a vacuum. Mm. What companies look at is what they call internal equity. You have to make sure that when you bring someone in from the outside, they're slotted appropriately relative to other members on the team. So the job range may go from $50,000 to $100,000. And the budget may be $50,000 to $80,000, but the company's probably looking to pay closer to $50,000.
Right.
And so, but the employees or the candidates, what they hear is $80,000 to $100,000, and sometimes
right.
you can get upside down in the deal.
Right.
So my advice to candidates all the time is you can be transparent, you can talk about this, but it's not like what's behind curtain number 3 at the very, very end. Feel free to engage in those discussions with an employer. It's not a taboo topic at all. I think employers want to make sure that they're doing right by you and that your expectations are in the zone that they can hire without going through all the steps of the interview to only to find out that they can't hire you because your expectations were much too high. Right.
So you're transitioning out of the military. You know what you make now. I think one of the smart things to do is really evaluate what it is that you need to live on and survive on and then kick it up a notch and figure out, what your passing point is, because there has to be a point where you just walk away from an offer, no matter how sweet you think it is. You're just not going to survive. But that's the research you need to do on your own self ahead of time.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, when I say it's apples to oranges, a lot of times, if you have a home allowance when you're in the military, and you're not going to have that when you go in the private sector, it's like, ouch, that's your biggest expense.
Yeah.
On the other hand, you can't expect a prospective employer in the private sector to pick up those costs for you. Because, there's a balance in there. So you really have to do the little spreadsheet that talks about what you have now and what the value is versus ideally what you'd like versus what the minimum is that you'd like. And you'll probably find an offer somewhere in between.
So what's the strategy behind going on salary.com and plugging in administrative assistant, San Diego, it makes $35,000, $37,000 a year? Is that realistic? And it sounds like you're saying maybe, but not really, because it's going to be dependent on the company itself and the employees within that organization where they benchmarked.
That's true. And most of the websites out there are self-reported data. I can go in and say I'm a secretary and I'm making $1 million a year. It's going to throw the numbers off. There is no entity out there that says, oh, this is accurate data or it's not. It's not like hiring a consulting firm that literally tests the market and looks at the compensation rules. Just people go on and say what they want.
Right.
So a lot of times what I found going on is I'm amazed at how much HR people can make, because I don't make as much as they make on those websites.
Right.
But, that is a reality that happens. So that may be a data point, or there may be several of those data points, but take them with a pinch of salt.
So when you're in the negotiation situation and say that I am the applicant and I know there's wiggle room, I know that you've got maybe $10,000 more that maybe I could, if I'm a good negotiator, I can capture in my salary. So how do I do that as an employee that wants to be hired by you?
I love the theory. It is a good theory. The truth of the matter is, I think back in the day, the employers used to wait until the very end to talk about what the salary range was going to be, what the salary.
And we weren't allowed to ask, because that was poor form, right?
Nowadays, what you're finding, just to be on the practical side here and as transparent as possible, recruiters are just telling you right up front. They're going to ask you what your salary is, and if it's more than what their job is paying, they're going to tell you right up front because they don't want to waste their time or yours. At the same time, they're going to be careful not to give you a range, because if they say 50 to 100. You just heard 100, they want to pay 50. So the reality becomes they'll ask you what your total comp is, your base salary plus all those perks. And then they'll ask you about your minimum and your targeted salary ranges. And what I found is most employers want to put all the money on the table. They're not going to go specifically 20% under, knowing that there's going to be a negotiation.
Right.
And as a recruiter myself for a lot of companies, I would say I'll put my best offer on the table, but I don't want to do all the negotiating back and forth, because I really want to give you good feedback and good info and ask you to do the same with me. So it's goodwill, but it's very open and transparent.
Right. You're listening to Brave Radio in partnership with Military Mondays here on KCBQ AM 1170, streaming live on the web at am1170theanswer.com. Follow us on Twitter at BraveJobs, or like us on Facebook to stay up to date with the latest news and trends. I'm your host, Eve Nasby, here with Paul Falcone, author and HR guru extraordinaire. Talk about he's shaking his head like, no, it's okay. But honestly, now I'm going to ask you the question. Can you talk about some of the companies you've worked for?
I have. So the thing that's interesting about me is I've worked in entertainment, healthcare, biotech, and financial services.
So you've got the gamut.
Over my years, I've kind of touched most.
Everything but defense, I think.
No, it's true. I've done everything except for government.
Yeah.
I haven't done city, state, or federal. But everything in the private sector, for-profit, non-profit, international, domestic, union, non-union, I've done all of them. So I've kind of gotten a pretty wide swath of what's out there.
So when you're sitting in a situation, you're interviewing a candidate, veteran, military or not, what are some of the biggest mistakes they make in the interview itself?
I think a lot of times they're nervous and they've read too many books. And I say this with all due respect for someone who's ever written a book. They almost think there's a model that they need to follow. And I always tell people, just relax and be yourself. Really, honestly, don't get too much into the yes sir, no ma'am. You don't need to be quite as... Let your defenses down. I'll tell you the sign of a good interviewer, Eve. If I'm interviewing a candidate, fresh out of the military or not, if I'm able to make them feel like they can make themselves a little vulnerable, to say, hey, you know what, Paul, I normally wouldn't say this in an interview, but then I know I've got the real person. That's the sign of a good interviewer. It's not this structured question, answer. It's really more of an emotional kind of, hey, I want to help you. I respect what you've done and I thank you what you've done. And we've got an opportunity in our company. Let's see if we can make it a match. But I need you to help me too, because I don't necessarily understand your language. And I know you probably don't understand all of mine, but that goodwill will fill the gap.
Wow, that is great advice. And thank you so much for sharing it. Now, Boots to Loafers is available on Amazon.com. And then how do our listeners get a hold of you for more information? Because you've got a lot of wisdom.
Well, that's very nice. Thank you. My website is the easiest way. It's paulfalconehr.com.
And Falcone is with an E.
Right, Falcone. Like Falcon the bird with an E at the end. So Paul Falcone and then HR for Human Resources.com.
One more time.
paulfalconehr.com.
Awesome. And then you've written a book, and I want to touch on this before we wrap up, 75 Ways for Managers to Hire, Develop, and Keep Great Employees. Talk about that book a little bit.
Yay, that's my new book.
That's his brand new book.
It came out in June. It is my 10th with the American Management Association. They're the publisher.
Wow.
And my 30-second blurb on this, Eve, is where companies, I think, have dropped the ball, is they don't help managers set expectations appropriately for what it means to lead effectively in a company. They hire a new director of finance. They put him through one day of orientation, slap him on the back, say, off you go.
Right.
Or they promote someone to a first-time manager job. And there's not a book or a tool out there that I'm aware of that helps them to lead with a heart. It's not a handbook. It's not a personnel manual. It's not a code of conduct. It's really a book that teaches them, the way I structured it was HR, offensive strategies, or should say leadership offense, leadership defense, which protects the company, and then workplace wisdom. So those are the 3 ways I structured that book.
Excellent. And that book is for sale right now. I'm looking at it online at Amazon.com. 75 Ways for Managers to Hire, Develop, and Keep Great Employees. 75 ways. That's a lot of ways. How long did it take you to write the book?
75 days. No, it took me a little longer, about 6 months.
6 months.
I sleep with it under my pillow. I didn't want to go much higher than 75. It gives me a crick in the neck.
Well, as always, you've made me laugh. You are just an amazing individual. Thank you so much for sharing our time with us today, Paul. Paul Falcone, again, one more time, your website.
Thank you, Eve. It's www.paulfalconehr.com.
All right, Boots to Loafers, 75 Ways for Managers to Hire, Develop, and Keep Great Employees. And for a good laugh, send him an email. All right, Paul, thanks again.
Thanks, Eve. Sure.
You're listening to Brave Radio in partnership with Military Mondays, where we focus on matching veteran talent with innovative companies that make a difference in our community and in our nation. Follow us on Twitter at Brave Jobs or give us a call at 619-244-3000. I'm your host, Eve Nasby, and we will be right back after this short break to talk to Richard Marks and one of his amazing guests. Don't go away.
Would you like to expand your talent pool and become a military company of choice? Do your recruiters lack the skills to easily translate a military veteran's resume into civilian experience? Would you like to know about tax credits of up to $9,600 for every veteran you place? If you answered yes to any of these questions, then you need to sign up to become a certified military recruiter. Discover all you need to know to successfully interpret military skills and place candidates into even the hardest positions to fill. As a military company of choice, you will gain access and trust from a wide network of veteran talent. Not to mention, for every veteran you place, you can earn up to $9,600 in tax incentives. Yes, I said up to $9,600 in tax incentives. Call Eve Nasby with the Brave CMR program to set up your customized certification plan today. Each program is tailored directly to meet your business needs. Don't miss out on the best candidates available. Placing veterans is good for your company and good for America. Call today at 619-244-3000 or log on to thebrave.us.
Easter Seals Work First Military and Veteran Services provides free one-on-one personalized employment assistance for local veterans through their Bob Hope Veteran Support Program. Easter Seals' team of employment specialists is dedicated to achieving successful long-term job placements that benefit both the veteran and the employer. Learn more about how you can receive services, connect with a future employee, or make a donation by visiting easterseals.com/SouthernCal. That's easterseals.com/SouthernCal.
Taylor, tell me why you weren't able to close the deal with the GP?
Well, they wanted military veteran candidates only, sir, and we just don't have the resources to fill those positions. The recruiters weren't able to understand how military experience translates to civilian jobs.
Unacceptable. Do you know how much business this cost us? We need to find a plan that teaches our recruiters how to translate these skills and use them in the civilian world.
I don't even understand why they were so adamant about placements consisting of military veterans.
Are you kidding me? Studies show veterans outperform their counterparts 2-to-1. They're incredibly productive. They possess great leadership and know how to come together as a team to accomplish a goal.
Well, yeah,
But nothing. Find me a plan that will allow us to become a trusted ally to military veterans and something we can show potential clients that we know what we're doing. We can't afford to stay the same and continue to lose these accounts.
Are you struggling to fill positions in your company? Are you interested in receiving huge tax incentives for every veteran you place? Do you want to increase your ROI and extend your talent pool? Then you need to become a certified military recruiter. As a CMR, you will understand how to properly match veteran skills into everyday positions, meet your OFCCP guidelines, extend your talent network, and become a military company of choice. Stop missing out on top contracts because you lack the necessary resources and call the Brave CMR program today at 619-244-3000.
Welcome back. You're listening to Brave Radio in partnership with Military Mondays, where we focus on matching veteran talent with innovative companies that make a difference in our community and in our nation. As promised, we are back with Richard D. Marks of RDM Management. So good to have you back in studio.
Thank you. It's glad to be back, Eve.
You have so many great things to tell us, and you keep bringing wonderful people into the studio. So we're going to introduce your friend in just a second. But first, give our listeners an overview of your background and then where you are today and what you do.
Of course, I am a U.S. veteran.
Woohoo!
United States Army, separated back in 1987.
Wow.
And since then, I've embarked in a career. We also know it as sales. So I've been in sales and sales management now for well over 30 plus years. And of course, I have my consulting company, which focuses on sales and sales management. My company started back on October the 1st of 2014. So not quite 2 years.
But you're going like gangbusters. You're amazing.
Absolutely.
Got great customers, great clients, and a great reputation. So it's a privilege to have you on the show today. So tell us what's coming up. I know you've got classes ad nauseum, and you've got a couple coming up like this week, right?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you very much for that, Eve. I have a sales and customer service seminar that is coming up on this Thursday and Friday, August the 25th and 26th from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. at Point Loma Nazarene Mission Valley campus.
Now, who would want to come to one of your seminars? Like, what's the big deal?
The big deal is individuals who are interested in improving their area of expertise as it pertains to customers and selling techniques become the area of expertise. If you're a business owner and if you would like to send your sales team, if by chance they're not meeting or exceeding their objectives.
Salespeople not meeting or exceeding their objectives. Oh, I'm sure there's nobody out there like that.
There could be one or two or a few.
Yeah.
And of course, we're getting down to the third quarter. We have goals and objectives that we need to meet. And I will provide some information, some very knowledgeable information and skills to help these salespeople meet their objectives.
Now, we didn't talk about this before, but can you give us a little little sample of what we might experience when we go to your seminar?
Well, absolutely. I focus on 4 characteristics, which are interesting enough you can find in athletes.
Okay.
You can also find in top business professionals. And so those focuses are, number one, self-confidence. You have to believe in you.
Yeah.
That you're able to accomplish any task in which that you seek. So I sort of pull back the onion in day one of the seminar to really focus and help the individual understand their goals, their motivations, which is another core characteristic that we talk about is motivation. Intrinsic motivation. Why do I do what I do?
Right.
And of course, the external factor, which is, I will receive rewards. I can pay my car notes, send my kids to college, et cetera, et cetera. But often, in my experience, salespeople sometimes focus on that external motivational piece, which can come off too selly for a client, right? No one wants to be sold. We like to be informed.
Yeah, you got to help me. I got to meet my quota today. So can you please buy this car? Right? The extrinsic. And the customer's like, what? I don't care about your goals.
And nor should they care. It's really about the customer. It's about what they want, which ties into the other piece is self-discipline. A lot of times when sales professionals are missing their objective, it's because they're not practicing proper self-discipline, doing the things they're supposed to do at all times, not just sometimes. It's interesting enough, normally, if you're on a month-to-month quota, the last week of the month is when sales sort of skyrocket and go through the roof. And that's because that's when salespeople are working the hardest, right? And so now they're under the pressure to meet and exceed their objective. My goal as an individual contributor as well as a sales leader was always to meet my sales objective by the 3rd week of the month.
Wow.
Self-discipline.
Yep.
That I learned from the military, by the way, as well.
That's right. Yeah. And you were at Cricket, right?
Wireless. That is correct.
That's awesome. Sorry, go ahead. I interrupted.
And the last piece is emotional intelligence. Understanding what's important to my clients, meeting them where they are.
Yeah.
It's not about my objective. Of course, I'm selling the product or service, whatever the case may be, but it's about your need and your want and understanding that and communicating that. Again, meeting you where you are. And so those are the sort of the 4 pillars that we focus on. And it is not about me as a salesperson. It's about my clients.
And you had an amazing career. So you put all of this stuff together and you put it into action at Cricket, had a very successful career there. And now you're taking all of that and downloading it to the rest of us who can benefit from that and actually help our clients and our companies go to the next level through your training. And Mission Valley, it's centrally located right there in Point Loma Naz in Mission Valley. Yes. So again, how do they get a hold of you? And we're going to talk. I'm going to ask the lady that you brought today, Miss Elaine, how good your seminars are because she went there. So
yes, absolutely. Well, they can get to it. They can simply go to my website as rdmmanagementgroup.com, and you will see it on the landing page. They can click onto the Point Loma page. There will be a link there, and it will take them to the registration page.
Awesome.
The cost is $299 for 2 days, and they walk out with a continuing education credit by Point Loma Nazarene University. It's
That's
a
fantastic.
sales course that is educational.
Excellent.
Yes.
That is outstanding. And I think there's a great benefit for companies to actually pay that to get their salespeople to the next level. It's only going to help their profits.
Absolutely.
All right, Elaine, thank you for being on our show. Tell us about you and your company, and then we're going to get the dirt on this class firsthand.
My name's Elaine Sampson. I'm president of San Diego Boss Techs. We design, build, and support computer networks for medium and small businesses. I've been doing IT consulting for over 24 years. Wow. And as I had told our host, the way I got into IT was my ex-husband was in the Marine Corps, and he was in information technology with the Marines. And once he got out, he took the GI Bill, got his education in mainframes. And once he was successful programming mainframes, he convinced me to do the same thing. But I got the education right when mainframes died. So I just translated all that into personal computers. And I have been doing personal computer support and network support ever since.
That is great. And we all need you.
Right. Oh, and also my website is www.sdbosstechs.com. So San Diego BossTechs.com.
Excellent. Now you have been, why would you take a course from this guy, Richard Marks?
I'm at the point in my business where I want to do some fast growth. I want to build it up so that I can have more people working for me with more residual income. And I know that the one component I was missing was sales.
Okay.
I'm a tech. I'm not a salesperson. So I searched long and hard for a good sales coach. And I did get referred to Richard by another IT person who has his own business. And so I have been working with Richard for quite a few months now, about 6 months.
Yes.
And it's been wonderful. And I did take his course over at Point Loma, and it was fantastic. It really
Tell me
helped.
why. I know he's great, but tell our listeners why he's fantastic from your perspective.
Well, the class was very interactive, and I think that was really important because it helped draw everybody out to talk about where their challenges are, where their shortcomings are. And then he would massage the material to help address those issues. And then everything he talked about was very easy to understand. It was very forthright, and it was basically steps. Do this, do this, do this. Okay, this is how we're moving forward. And it made a lot of sense, and I felt much more comfortable in the sales realm after going to his course.
And sales is scary. You've got the, I don't even know, left, right brain. And you are very detail oriented, process oriented. You do IT and you've got the details, and salespeople tend to be flighty and there's a lot of relationship development, and you have to get outside your comfort zone and meet people. And is that something that Richard helped you do?
Definitely. That was my biggest challenge. I'd rather sit in front of a computer than go to a networking event. So he did convince me to join the North County Chamber of Commerce, which was a fantastic opportunity because I basically show up, set up a table at the mixers, and people come to me.
Yes.
So I don't have to go to them. They come to me, and that really took the edge off for me.
That's great. Well, thank you so much for being here. I want to talk a little bit more about your company, too, San Diego Boss Tech. So we were talking about it's not just viruses that are out there anymore that are going to take out your computer. Now we're talking about what?
Ransomware.
Ransomware.
If you haven't heard about ransomware, it's about time you take note. It's been around for quite a few years now. They make millions, hundreds of millions of dollars. And these are people, they're hackers, mostly in other countries. And what they do is they send out emails, mass emails. And they're geniuses. The emails look like they're coming from your bank, from your credit card company, from UPS, from FedEx. You wouldn't put them side to side. You wouldn't know the difference. And there's a link. And a lot of times people are expecting something from FedEx or their bank.
Right,
and they
makes
click
sense.
on the link. It's usually a PDF. You click on it, and within seconds, your computer, all the data has been encrypted. And if you're on a computer network, and I have seen this firsthand, within seconds, everything on the network, on your server, is encrypted.
Oh, my God.
And there's only two ways to get your data back. The most important thing that you could do for your computer is backup.
Right.
So that's the number one way. I've worked with clients who've been infected, and we restore from the backup, and everything's okay.
Phew.
The other way is you pay the ransom, and I have seen it be between $300,000 and $11,000. And you only have a limited amount of time to pay the ransom, or you lost that window and your data is encrypted. The upside is if you wait a year or so, someone will eventually come up with a decrypt. But who can wait a year or so?
Right. Oh, my gosh, that is insidious.
So backup.
Backup. And if you didn't back up, call you.
Correct. Call me and I'll do my best.
My goodness. Well, again, thank you so much, Richard Marks, for bringing Elaine onto the show. Tell us once again about your customer service sales training this week.
Yes, it's on Thursday and Friday from 8 to 1. I highly encourage those of you who are interested in excelling or exceeding in the area of sales with a customer focus, please attend. And similar to Elaine, a lot of my clients are not quote unquote salespeople, as they call themselves. Right. And I don't try to change anyone or who they are. I mean, I can't be Elaine. Elaine can't be me. But what I do is do a deep dive in understanding who she is and what's important to her customer base. As I understand that, we can leverage those characteristics in a way where you can be comfortable in your own skin and generate more business for yourself.
I love that about you. You're very custom driven. You custom make these solutions to bring people to the next level, and you start where they are.
Exactly.
Not where you want them to be, not where they want to be, right where they are.
Right where they are. And that's actually, from my experience, Eve, is the secret to successful selling, meeting clients where they are. If I understand your need, your desires, your outcome, and my product and service is designed to help you get there, how can we allow them to collaborate with one another for your outcome? And if I do that successfully, you're happy.
Yes.
And then if you're happy, you would share that with others.
Great.
And that's how I build my network and build my referral base. It's all about you, Eve.
Oh, no. Give us your website one more time.
It is rdmmanagementgroup.com.
And Elaine Sampson, thank you so much. Go ahead and give us your website one more time.
www.sdbosstex.com, San Diego Boss Tex.
What a great show we've had, you guys. My goodness. We've had dogs. We've had Paul Falcone. We've had RDM management. We've got Fleet Week. We've got everything. Richard, you're amazing. So next week, though, you're not going to want to miss this. We have a Navy SEAL coming on who swam the entire length of the Mississippi River. Chris Ring will be one of our incredible guests on the 29th, and you're not going to want to miss it. I'm Eve Nasby, and you have been listening to Brave Radio in partnership with Military Mondays here on KCBQ AM 1170, The Answer. If you want to find out more about how you can hire top veteran talent, or if you're interested, Richard also has a CD on Amazon, on iTunes. You can learn more about all of his training. You can contact us at www.thebrave.us, and we'll have all that information on Richard's CD there. And if you're interested in being a guest on our show, call me, 619-244-3000. Visit our website at www.thebrave.us. Send us a tweet at Brave Jobs, or like our Facebook page. From all of our guests and me, thanks for joining us. And may God bless our veterans, and God bless America.
Thanks for listening to Brave Radio. If you know a veteran looking for work, or if your company is hiring, call Eve at Brave at 619-244-3000. Give her a tweet at Brave Jobs and connect with them on Facebook. To be a guest on the show, visit thebrave.us.